Hey guys, Account Second here, and this is the info video for the Pokemon IndyCar Series by Verizon. I'm so excited to be starting a brand new league with the open wheel car set that recently came out for the DW12 mod. It is up to date to the 2016 IndyCar Series teams and roster, so it's really nice to see a refresh and a new coat of paint for these cars finally after waiting for a couple of years. Now, not every car is going to be used from the car set. There are 33 in the car set that was released from NASCARFunFacts.com. We're only going to be using 30 of those cars because some races in the schedule will require 20 will only fit 28 or 29 cars at a time in one race. So because of that, I've decided to shorten the field to 30 cars. But the car set download will be in the description below for those of you that want to download this 2016 set for the DW12 mod. It's a much needed update, and you can run your own IndyCar league with this. But I've done IndyCar leagues under different names before, but this will be under the Pokemon Series name. So it's the first time I'm doing this like that. But it will acquire the history from those leagues, even the NASCAR Pokemon Pro Series. Sorry about that. There's a fly flying in my face. My apologies. I try to swat it out. But anyway, we're going to start off by revealing the schedule first and then the teams and drivers. Just like how we did in the info video for Season 26 of the Pokemon NASCAR Series. That series is still going. I'll try to run the IndyCar and NASCAR Series at the same time. I'll probably have two races from those two leagues in one day, someday. Maybe. I'll try to do that. So anyway, without further interruption, here is the schedule for the first season of the Pokemon IndyCar Series. There'll be some tracks you'll know and love, and some new tracks in between. So here is the schedule coming up on this screen right about now. First up, we have the Grand Prix of Indianapolis. That has like 28, 29 cars. That's one of those races. That'll be the opening race. And then it'll be the Phoenix Grand Prix from Phoenix. And then the Firestone 600 at Texas, followed by the Pokemon Sun and Moon Pensacola Challenge. That's in the Pensacola Road Course. Then the Old Spice 250 at Old Spice Speedway. Then the Kohler Grand Prix from Road America. The ABC Supply Company 500 at Pocono is next. And then it's Iowa Corn 300. You know where that is from. Then the Milwaukee Mile will host the Milwaukee IndyFest, followed by Honda Indy Toronto, then the CTMP race, and then it's Gateway, Walt Disney World, Montague, Pikes Peak, Kentucky, Monaco, Biker Necky, Watkins Glen, Sonoma, Detroit, the Duel in Detroit, and finally the Indianapolis 500. That is your schedule, and now it's time to reveal the teams that will be competing for the championship here in the very first season of the Pokemon IndyCar Series by Verizon. Here we go. First, let's start off with Foyt Enterprises, or AJ Foyt Racing as they're also known as. The 14 will be driven by Dillon Young, and the 41 will be driven by Jay Jefferson. No, I did not use the same car twice for this graphic. They're just different numbered, except they're so identical looking that you can barely tell the difference between the two. The only way you can tell the difference is the numbering in the front and in the wing on the rear wing on the sides. So it's going to be very, very, very confusing for me to know which car is which, but I'll try the best I can to identify which car is who. Dillon Young, I know, is the 14. Jay Jefferson's running in the 41. Both are running ABC Supply Company, and we'll see which one of the two will come out on top, or maybe both could come out on top for AJ Foyt, but it'll be fun to see two identical cars running together under the same team and same sponsor. That'll be fun to watch. Next up is Andretti Autosport. 4 cars will compete for Andretti. The 26 is Jonny Gardner. The 27 is Joshua Ciculli. The 28 is Gabryel Wanderley. And the 29 is James Richardson. All those 4, Young and Jefferson, also have experience in the Pokemon NASCAR Series. And all those drivers will also be running in the Pokemon NASCAR Series along with their IndyCar Series rides. So there could be the chance of having one driver win a championship in IndyCar and NASCAR in the same season. But we'll see if that'll be the case, or will a standalone driver stand up and take the win and possibly the championship, or we'll see the other standaloners could make a big impact here in the Pokemon IndyCar Series. Next up, it is Chip Ganassi Racing, one of 2 teams that are racing in both the IndyCar Series and the NASCAR Series. And here are their 4 cars. The 8 will be driven by Max Xinner, not related to Max Skinner, Max Xinner. The 9 will be driven by Lithuanian driver Audra Baranauskas, one of the standalone drivers. Skinner's another standalone driver for this series only. The number 10 will be driven by Amar'e Stoudimere Jr., and the 42 will be driven by Justin Carter. Usually that number is 83, but with this being the Indy 500 car set, they renumbered the 42 for that race only. So we're only left with the 42 machine instead of the 83 for Justin Carter. But he's one of the double duty drivers in this league. A lot of double duty drivers make up most of the IndyCar series, but we still have standalones as well, with Xinner and Baranauskas being some of them, with the 8 and 9 in their respective vehicles. So it'll be nice to see those two go at it for the IndyCar series, because that's their only title they'll be going for out of the 2. Next up, it is Dale Coyne Racing, and the 18 will be driven by Alex Ragau, who's a Pokemon NASCAR Series champion from Season 25. Looks to add another championship to his name with the IndyCar Series the first season. The 19 will be driven by Forza Gaming. Forza is also a Pokemon NASCAR regular as well. And finally, the 63 will be driven by Ryan Kasey for Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure. Kasey is also a double-duty driver as well. So 3 entries for the Dale Coyne Racing team. They've had pretty good success back in the Pokemon Pro Series. We'll see if the success will calculate to wins here in the Pokemon IndyCar Series. So it'll be interesting to see Forza Gaming, Ragau, and Kasey work together under the same team, maybe to get a couple wins, and maybe one of those 3 could come home with a championship here in the Pokemon IndyCar Series. Next up, we have a 1-car team, Dreyer and Reinbold Racing. They're one of only 2 1-car teams in this series, and the 24 will be driven by Tom Jonas, one of the standalone drivers here in the Pokemon IndyCar Series. So this is his only chance at a championship from either one of the 2 this season. He's wearing the number 24 for his car. That's sort of a tribute. That is a tribute possibly to Jeff Gordon, as it even has the same number look as Jeff Gordon's NASCAR number up in the front. As you could see, if you look very carefully, you can see the 24 is actually the same one Jeff Gordon uses for his car, and now Chase Elliott uses for the Hedrick car. But they are not related. They don't have power from Hedrick. They're on their own. They're Dreyer and Reinbold Racing. They're a team on its own with no connections to Hedrick Motorsports whatsoever. They got their permission, though, to use the 24 for this IndyCar, for their IndyCar machine. Next up, we have Ed Carpenter Racing, and they have 3 entries for the team. They were formerly known as Sarah Fisher Hartman Racing, whatever, I think. Now they're under a different name, Ed Carpenter Racing. The 6 machine will be driven by Grayson Acevedo, the 20 will be driven by Avi Saks, and the 21 will be driven by Cody Smart. The 6 and 20 will both get sponsorship from Preferred, and the 20 will get sponsorship from Fuzzy's Ultimate Vodka. I think that's what it's called. I don't follow IndyCar as much as NASCAR, so yeah, I'm not really familiar with some of these cars in this list, so I'll try the best I can. But anyway, Avi Saks, a longtime veteran of the Pokemon NASCAR Series. He gets a ride in the IndyCar Series. Same for Acevedo and Cody Smart, and they'll both be making an impact here, definitely here in the Pokemon IndyCar Series, along with their continuing rides in the Pokemon NASCAR Series. So we can't wait to see them both in action. Next up, it's the second and last 1-car team, Jonathan Bird's Racing, and that is the 88 Brian Clausen machine. That'll be driven by Kev Shearer. You may have heard that a couple weeks ago, Brian Clausen lost his life in an accident, and our thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. Kev Shearer riding the 88 in his memory, so this is going to be like a tribute to Brian Clausen, as that was the car he used for to start in the Indy 500 this year, which went on to be his last start, unfortunately. So Shearer is looking to win a couple races in Brian Clausen's memory, and we will miss Brian Clausen himself. Our thoughts and prayers, like I said, go out to his family and friends, and we wish Shearer the very best here in Brian Clausen's 88 machine for Jonathan Bird's Racing. Next up, it is KV Racing Technology. There'll be a 2-car team this season, and here are their cars. The 11 will be driven by PJ Williams using Hydroxycut as his sponsor, and the 25, I think that's the number, it looks 26 or 25, that'll be driven by Jacob Lawlor. But we do know Lawlor is another longtime veteran in the Pole One NASCAR series, same for PJ Williams. And Lawlor is going to transition to open wheel along with this stock car ride. So it'll be fun to see the legend go at it with his teammate PJ Williams. Williams has also been out of the league for a couple seasons now in the NASCAR series, and now he's making a comeback to the NR Town 3 community. We'll see if Williams' comeback doesn't hit a sour note, or will it become a successful comeback story for PJ himself in the number 11. Lawlor's been a long-time veteran, like I said. He's going to have some experience here in the Pole One IndyCar Series. Next up, it is the team of Rahal Linnerman Lanigan Racing. They have 2 cars in the field, the 15 and 16. The 15 will be driven by Mitchell Carter, the brother of Justin Carter, who has a ride with Chip Ganassi Racing. And Brandon Nichols will drive the 16 for Potian Mantrotowak. I think that is what it's called, so I apologize again if I'm not familiar with sponsors. I don't follow IndyCar as much as I do in NASCAR, so my apologies if I get some things wrong. But anyway, Mitchell and Justin Carter both are competing in the Pole One NASCAR series as well, so we have sibling rivalry going on here for IndyCar and NASCAR. So it'll be fun to see the Carters battle it out for whoever will get the better ride. So we'll see who will win the IndyCar series and who will win the Pole One NASCAR series. It'll be fun to see the Carters face off against each other in a bit of sibling rivalry. We won't see that in with the Walkers, and I'll show you why in a little bit. But first up, it's Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports. 3 cars competing for Schmidt-Peterson. The 5 is driven by DJ Kurtis. The 7 will be driven by Ryan Acosta, carrying Doom in his car this season. And the 77 will be driven by Janson Rogers, carrying Lucas Oil as his sponsor. Kurtis has Aero as his sponsor for the number 5 machine. So these 2 of those 3 are running in the Pole One NASCAR series, Acosta and Kurtis. And Acosta has experience, by the way. He's a 2-time champion in the NASCAR Pole One Pro Series. So he is moving on to the IndyCar series, hoping to win a championship there. And Janson Rogers is a standalone driver, just competing for this league only for the 77, along with Kurtis and Acosta. And I think Acosta as well is also competing for the NASCAR series. I'm sorry. Acosta's competing only in the IndyCar series, but he's not competing in the NASCAR series. Anyway, Team Penske's up next. We have 4 cars on the team. We have Kermicah Jazzin in the number 2, a former Pole One NASCAR champion. Paul Minnick is going to be riding the 3. Pichu will ride the 12. And Ben Miles will ride the 22. Pichu is also riding the number 12 in the Pole One NASCAR series for Penske as well. So this is going to be pretty fitting for Pichu, as he's riding 12 in both IndyCar and NASCAR. So it'll be fun to see Pichu ride for Penske, and fun to see Minnick, Miles, and Jazzin compete for the IndyCar series. Jazzin didn't get a ride in the Pole One NASCAR series this season, so this will be the only time she'll be competing for a championship here for now. We'll see if Jazzin can make a return to the Pole One NASCAR series next season. But for now, she's competing for a Pole One IndyCar series championship with Penske as her new team. Finally, we have the 98 team that won the Indianapolis 500 this season. It is a collation of Andretti Autosport, Brian Herter Racing, and Curb Agajanian and TA2 Racing. They'll all be running the 98 machine. That'll be driven by 2 drivers. Luke Walker will drive the ovals, and Leia Walker will drive the road courses. This is why the Walkers aren't competing against each other this season in the Pole One IndyCar series. They'll be sharing the same ride for the team on different races. Luke's going to do the ovals, Leia's going to do the road courses. It's not like Pole One NASCAR, which both drivers have their own rides. They'll both share the 98 for this season. That's the teams, drivers, and schedule for the first season of the Pole One IndyCar series. Good luck to everyone involved. And we will start the series soon along with the Pole One NASCAR series season 26. So look out for that as well on TA2 Racing. This is the account second here. Both series will start soon. We will see you then.